notification recording, and now we're recording. So and you will all see a message on your screen that says it's being recorded. So greetings everyone. Thank you for coming to tonight's Dark Moon Ritual. My name is Leanne and I'm hosting tonight's event. You may be able to tell by my accent that I'm Australian, and for me it's actually 6:30 in the morning. So it's looking like it's going to be a beautiful sunny day. And I hope that wherever you are, that you will have live stream, that you'll have a beautiful time with us, and then can go upon your merry way, either enjoying the rest of your day or having a lovely evening. This month's DMR, the focus is on the Swinrag, and the Swinrag is healer. And so some of the topics tonight will include events on healing, and there will be some healing secrets coming forth. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that I am sitting in and recording this from, and that is the Darug Nation. And I pay my respects to elders past, present and future. So I think with that, I think we can begin the ritual. So we will start now. Blessed be. Blessed be.
Thank you. I will be casting our circle this evening or this morning or wherever you are in this world, as we all gather together in a circle in a sacred space. By the earth that is her body, by the air that is her sweet breath, by the fire that is the bright spirit, by the water from her sacred womb. I declare this space truly sacred. Blessed be.
Blessed be.
And now for the centering and grounding, just inviting you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold for a second and breathe out through your mouth. Allow yourself to surrender to this moment. Now imagine yourself sitting in a field of daffodils and paperwhites in full bloom, wherever you are in the world. The sun is gently warming your skin, and you can smell the fresh aroma of the flowers around you, reminding you that spring is just a few weeks away. And as you sit on the ground, in your mind's eye, you see a golden thread at your heart space. Slowly, this golden thread weaves itself downward, down through your sacral chakra, down through your Muladhara root chakra, and here it moves down through the ground. It pushes through the soil, down through the rocks. It moves towards the middle of the earth, through the bones and stones and old remnants of our ancient ancestors, until it meets the very center of the earth's core. And here it anchors on to the core. You sit here and take in all of the energy of the earth. It's grounding, it's nurturing. Here you meet the goddess's primal energy, and she wraps her arms around you in a warm embrace. Sitting here and soaking that in. Now, slowly, the golden thread releases its hold and begins to draw back up, taking with it this grounding, nurturing energy from the goddess. Moving back up through the soil and the rocks and the sediment and the crystals, it reaches back up to your root. It comes back up through your sacral, your solar plexus, and meets back at your heart space. Here it meets another thread, a silver thread, and it intertwines together here, sparking a light. And here the silver thread starts to move up through your body, up to your throat, up to your third eye, through your crown chakra. And here it moves up into the air. It travels through the air, through the clouds. It hits the Earth's atmosphere and moves into space. And here you see this silver thread traveling to another galaxy. The thread is looking for your star planet, where you came from. Maybe it's Venus, Sirius, the Pleiades. Once you've found your star, your thread anchors on to that planet. And here you rest and drink in the cosmic energies, receiving all of the light codes. You feel your DNA becoming crystalline. And just taking this in, receiving these downloads from your star planet. Now, slowly, you must go back to Earth. The silver thread unlatches from your planet, starts to move down through the galaxy, down through the atmosphere, through the clouds, until it comes back to your crown chakra, your third eye, down through your throat, and back into your heart space. And you sit here and you feel the marriage of the grounding of the earth, primal energies, and your cosmic energies mix and meld, giving you a tingling sensation, a knowingness that you know where you belong, rooted in Mother Earth. And extended to your star. And just taking another deep breath in with your feet on the ground, fully grounded and anchored. Coming back here to this moment, wiggling your toes, and slowly opening your eyes. And coming back to this moment. Blessed be.
Blessed be. Croeso Cerridwen of fire, Morwina Dan. The lady of creativity, the lady who gives us our fire of strength and of courage, who ignites our passions and allows us to stand as we are and who we are and be proud. The lady who gives us light and from the breath of the energy from the dragons that sleep within the Tor. We breathe your energy in with gratitude. Hail and welcome, Cerridwen of fire, Morwina Dan. And we return your energy to our center. So mote it be. Blessed be.
In your mind's eye, please turn with me to the south. Croeso, Cerridwen of water, the lady who holds the mysteries of Lake Bala, the waters that flow with the tides of your healing energy, that contains the knowledge of all existences. Cerridwen, we kneel before your waters of wisdom and ask to be blessed with all that we are ready to know and to be cleansed of all that we are ready to let go of. Cerridwen, we breathe your cleansing energy in with gratitude. Hail and welcome, Cerridwen of water.
Hail and welcome, Cerridwen of water.
Bring your energy into our center. Blessed be.
Please turn with me in your mind's eye to the west. Croeso, Cerridwen of earth, Mum, they are. You remind us that we are all a part of the sacred earth, seeded and growing, dying, buried and rebirthing. The perpetual cycle of life, death and rebirth. Like sacred trees of the mythic stories, our roots are embedded and mingling with the bones and essence of our ancestors. All is contained in your cauldron, and to it we shall return. The gift of life is yours and is witnessed in the falling of the leaves of the trees, the regrowth of the earth, the herbs abounding and providing us sustenance and medicine. The deep, heady scent of the earth, the crystals singing from their dark earthly beds, waiting to be birthed. May you bless the ground upon which we walk, and may we honor you. We breathe your loving energy in with gratitude. Hail and welcome, Cerridwen of earth. Blessed be.
And turning with me in your mind's eye to the north. Hail, Cerridwen of air, Morwen Oair. Come bless us with your clarity of the fresh air. Come fill our hearts with your clarity to make us more true to ourselves and to you. Fill our lungs with air so that we may speak truly, so that we may speak your wisdoms.
Blow the cobwebs away from our ears so we may hear your voice, so we may hear your wisdoms whispering on the air. Fill us with your inspiration of healing. Fill us with the inspiration of truth. O Cerridwen of air, bring clarity to our senses. Bring truth to our hearts. We breathe your energy in with gratitude. Hail and welcome, Cerridwen of air. And we turn your energy, returning your energy to the center. Blessed be.
Yeah. In your mind's eyes, turn with me to the center. Let's close our eyes and focus onto the center. As we hold our hands together, our hearts connected as one. Divided, we fall. United, we stand. May we focus onto the cauldron of death, rebirth, and transformation. As we focus onto the cauldron, may we use the elements already in earth, fire, water, and air. And may we let go of anything that does not serve us. Unforgiveness, resentment for self, self-doubts, feeling of loneliness and abandonment in the midst of many. May we let it go. May we have the courage to grab the specter of courage and healing. May we have the courage to allow Goddess Cerridwen, our dark mother, to lead us into the labyrinth of mysteries, the path where many others have taken before us. May we have the courage to answer the call of service. Hail and welcome, Goddess Cerridwen. We breathe your energy in with gratitude. May we all chant the 3 Awen. Blessed be.
And thank you. Because this is, we're in the segment of the swim rag, I thought it might be a nice time also if everyone could grab a candle and light it and just bring in someone that you would like to send some energy out to. So I'm going to do mine. Let's do it the old-fashioned way with some matches. I just wanted to light a candle for my parents and also for some of my sisters, my Spiral 2 sisters, specifically Veronica, Susie, and Georgia. And now we're going to see some stories of healing and passing on healing energy. So I've got 3 little videos for you, and then we will move on to be. If these aren't loud enough for you, please make sure you turn your volume up on your screen.
Good morning all. It's a beautiful sunny morning here in Australia, and I wanted to talk to you about the Melaleuca species. But firstly, I would like to say that I acknowledge the traditional owners of the country upon which I'm standing and doing this presentation, the Kabi Kabi people. I pay honour and respect to the elders past, present and emerging, and I hope that their ancestors welcome me on country. And all of you joining me today. So, to talk about the Melaleuca species. This is behind me, the Melaleuca. I'm sorry that I can't, I have to film it in this manner with my face so close to the camera. I unfortunately have no one to help me do this presentation this morning, so I will do my best. But I wanted to talk to you about Melaleuca quinquenervia, which is commonly known in Australia as the paperbark, and its well-known little sister, the tea tree. So they come from the same species, but they're obviously different. So firstly, I'll touch on tea tree later, but firstly I wanted to talk about the paperbark. So the reason it is called a paperbark is pretty obvious. The bark of the tree comes away and it is like paper. And the further down you get into the bark, the softer it is. The softer, the more pliable, and the more delicious, because you can add it. So I'm going to talk about some of the properties of this. So firstly, I just want to say that the context that you find a lot of paperbark trees is in association with water, whether that's coastal waters or what we call billabongs, which are associated with river systems, or Melaleuca wetlands, which are like swampy estuary type locations. Paperbarks and other forms of Melaleuca absolutely love that environmental context. And it's really interesting because there are a lot of common mythologies and myths that standing water associated with Melaleucas have healing properties. And yes, they actually do. Because like the tea tree, the paperbark contains a lot of medicinal compounds. So when they are associated with water, they drop their bark quite frequently. The bark goes into the water and it leaches out all the medicinal compounds. It also leaches out of the root system. So standing water associated with Melaleuca quite often has a light to dark brown kind of colour to it, like tannin. It's got a tannin colour. And that is the medicine predominantly leaking out of the trees. Would I recommend drinking it? Probably not, because it'd be full of like tadpoles and mosquito larvae, which is lots of around water in Australia. I probably wouldn't drink it, but you could probably take it home and decant it, let the things die. I don't know. I haven't used it for that method. If I want any compounds from a tea tree, I will eat it, and I'll tell you how to do that shortly. Or I will use tea tree oil. So the healing compounds. Not only does the paperbark have these healing compounds, which is similar to the tea tree, it also is known to be a gateway to the other realm. And I'm not surprised by that. And the reason being that the bark itself, in traditional Aboriginal society, and I'm not saying that Aboriginal people don't live traditionally anymore, I'm just talking about historically. When we talk about historically, we know that the paperbark was used for a number of very important events in people's lives. So for instance, when babies were born, cribs, I suppose you could call them for a better word, containers would be cut from the bark of harder trees so that you could place the baby in these wooden containers, kind of like an upside down shield in essence. And they would line the inside of these with paper bark and other soft materials. But paper bark is really, really soft, surprisingly soft. It doesn't look it when you see it like this, but it is. You can, and like I said, the further into the bark you go, the softer it is. So, associated with newborns and birth. It's also associated with the dead. So many burials were wrapped in paper bark. So burials in Australia, and just a warning to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people listening to this, that I will be talking about death and ancestral remains. Funeral rites in Australia, in a lot of traditional groups, the bodies of the dead would be left out on platforms or in trees to dry out and have all the flesh removed, similar to in Neolithic societies in Britain and Europe. And then the bones or the remains would be wrapped in paper bark because it's nice and soft, and then either inserted into trees or wrapped and put in caves, on the ledges of caves, or also carried around in containers by their loved ones. So again, Australia's a very big place. I'm not talking about all groups, but paper bark used for funerary rites. Also used for menstruation, so for bleeding. Again, because it's soft, it's absorbent, and it's probably one of the most comfortable barks or other materials in Australia. Australia is not known for its comforts. So used for menstruation. So you've got 3 of the most important rites of passage for humans associated with paper bark. Hence why I think it is so important, such an important plant for traveling to the other world, traveling on the astral plane, connecting with the spirits of the dead. So when I talk about eating paper bark, there's a really interesting way. Again, this is traditional knowledge that Europeans also have utilized and still use, and this is some of the knowledge that was passed on to me as well. We did this when we were young. In fact, if I wasn't vegetarian, I'd probably still do this, but you could do it with vegetables. So fishing, when you're fishing and you're down by the creek, by the river, and you're wanting to cook your fish on the coals and the fire, you strip the paper bark and you strip big slabs of it, and you put your fish on the paper bark. You can add some eucalypt leaves to give it a extra smoky kind of eucalypt flavor. Then you wrap it. You actually wrap it in layers of the paper bark. Make sure you wet the paper bark first, and then you bind it, and then you put it in the coals, and you put coals on top of it. And then it cooks, and it gives the fish a beautiful tanniny, smoky flavor. And you see that when you open up the bark after it's cooked, that brown, tanniny, staining that I was telling you about comes through onto the fish as well. So eating it, again, more traditional knowledge that is still utilized today. Also, oh geez, I should have dropped that because I'm not going to strip any more bark. But magic, let's talk about magic. So this is an amazing tree species for using in your magical practices for 2 reasons. 1, the paper, or the paper bark, you can write on it. So I, as well as many other witches in Australia, use paper bark to write our intentions on. So you write your intention on the paper bark, you add all the other components to the spell that you want, you do your ritual, and then you bury the paper bark in the ground for it to release to Mother Earth and to the universe to have your intention created. I have used this for house protection. I've used it for a number of other spells that I won't tell you about, but I have heard of people using it for bindings as well. So you can use it for anything. It has a lot of magical properties, and it's a very good container for holding your spell. The other way to use it magically is as incense. So it is a very strong cleansing herb. So you can use it as an incense by either drying and shredding the bark, or the leaves are just as powerful. So when I'm making my cleansing herbal blends for incense, I always tend to add paper bark, melaleuca, and I add eucalypt as well, because eucalypt and melaleucas go pretty much hand in hand. They're two of Australia's great species for magic and energetic work. So on that note, I also wanted to talk to you about tea tree, which, like I said, is the smaller cousin or sister, whatever you want, of the paperbark. So again, this is where a lot of traditional knowledge is passed down and has been utilised by Europeans, and then is passed from grandmother to granddaughter, mother to daughter, father to son. Everyone knows about the healing properties of tea tree. In fact, the military issued all soldiers in World War I, and probably in World War II, I would say, with tea tree, bottles of tea tree oil, because its antifungal properties would stop them getting foot rot, or attempt to stop them getting foot rot in the wet trenches. It also was antiviral to help stop the spread of flu and colds and diseases, and there weren't any antibiotics there, so it was somewhat of a wonder, a cure-all. So you will find in Australia, I'm only speaking on my behalf, and every other woman that I knew in my circle, every grandmother, every mother, had tea tree oil in their cupboard. If you got injured, hurt, bit, anything, you were literally doused in tea tree oil. It also was used to wipe down kitchen benches. It was used in the mop water. Very magical. And then it's also very good for respiratory issues combined with eucalypt. So you don't need to have the oil to do these things, though if you're living in Europe, it's probably the easiest way to do it. Here in Australia, we literally can come out, collect the leaves, and make an inhalation out of the leaves. So I hope that I've given you some background knowledge on one of my favourite plants. Like I said, my beautiful paperbark, and its cousin, sister, the tea tree. I wish you all blessings for the rest of the night, and thank you to Leanne for inviting me to talk about this. Blessed be. Bye.
Thank you. Just move on to another video.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. I have been asked to read a message on Tansy, the Great Expeller, on behalf of Veronica. Veronica is unwell currently and has been unable to do a video for tonight. So I'm just going to read her words, and this is a little picture of Tansy out of one of my herbal books. So Tansy, the Great Expeller. When calling upon my herbal spirit through Cerridwen the Sundraig last summer, a whole world opened up. Suddenly I heard the calling and whispers of plants all around me. I chose to focus on 3 of them: meadowsweet, mugwort, and tansy. Tansy called the loudest with her bright yellow sun faces. It made me want to get to know her a little more, and she did have a story for me. Tansy was used by the Norse indigenous people, the Sama, now I apologise if I say that wrong, as an expeller. It expels unwanted pregnancies and corrects bleeding cycles that are unbalanced. The women used and still use it during yoni steaming to expel any unwanted energies in their wombs, cauldrons. Tansy cleanses and banishes. Tansy was also used as a kind of snack for children. The taste is fresh, sweet, and a little bitter. Whenever my bleeding cycle is a little bit unbalanced, I use tansy in my yoni steaming. During meditation, one can picture the steam getting embraced by your cauldron and healing the unbalance. I usually start to bleed 1 or 2 days after using tansy in my yoni steam. No cramps. Tansy sure is a blessing and a healer. Hear her calling and embrace her. Blessings from Veronica.
It's mid-February and I'm in Nuttall Park in Ramsbottom, Lancashire. And the name Ramsbottom actually comes from this, a whole valley which is filled with ramsons or wild garlic. And I'm quite excited because I'm here with my basket. There we go. I'm picking wild garlic for the first wild garlic pesto of the year. So a swinrigh, the swinrigh would be out at all times, knowing what to pick in all seasons, whether it's roots or new shoots or flowers or barks or berries. So this is the time of new shoots. We've got quite a few new shoots coming through, as well as some mushrooms. So if you have a look in my basket, you can see what we've been picking. Can you see? I'll get you one of those. Some scarlet elf caps. That's not the best one, but look at that. Those are really nice and edible. We're going to put them into mushrooms. So these are really distinctive, easily identifiable mushroom that comes up in leaf litter like this in woodlands in February. So we're going to put some of that in omelettes. And I'm picking the wild garlic here. Now, wild garlic is an amazing food. It is totally garlicky with a little bit of sweetness and great to put in things like potatoes. You can roast potatoes with it, use it in pestos, soups, you can ferment it. Any way that you would use garlic, you use this. What is so good about this, and is part of that perfection of Mother Nature, is the fact that we come out of winter. We've probably got bits of viruses, we probably need our gut sorting out. Wild garlic is an absolutely fantastic antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal. So this is what we need at the end of the winter. If we're fighting off viruses, it can give us that beautiful antiviral action, as well as be great for our gut, because this can actually get rid of any parasites that have been around from winter time, any sort of bacteria that shouldn't be there, as well as being a great probiotic. And if you think about that perfection of being with Mother Nature as a wild human being, many humans would have lived with animals in the past and had that sort of propensity to pick up parasites. We'd have come out in Mother Nature and would have eaten this just to clear our guts out, clear our bodies out. And during that time of winter, our blood would have been thicker because we'd have been indoors, would have been slowing down, and with that first vitality of spring, we have a herb that would just thin our blood slightly at the end of winter, giving us that vitality to actually get out there. What I love about wild garlic and a lot of these spring herbs is how they heat the body, how they wake us up at the end of winter as we come into spring to give us that extra vitality. So come and have a look at the wild garlic. The wild garlic that is so in profusion here. Yes. Can you see it? So this is quite young, and you can see the lines that are almost like really fine tiny lines going down it around this central stalk. And the big distinctive factor of identification is that smell of garlic. And if it doesn't smell of garlic, it's not wild garlic. I mean, that's your identification. There are other things that you could mistake picking up at this early time, things like arum lily, but that won't smell of wild garlic. So great identifying feature, picking it here, and as it's just coming out of the ground. I'm going to take this home. I'm going to give it a little bit of a wash, because I know that people, this is a country park and I want it to be clean. I'm going to put it in the food processor with some cashew nuts, some parmesan cheese, some olive oil, and just a bit of lemon juice. Just blitz it round and get the taste. If it needs a little bit more oil, then I'll add that. A few more bits of cashew nuts or pine nuts, they can go in, and I'll just have that on toast. I've made some acorn flour crackers at home, so that they can go on that for that totally wild sort of snack. Yeah, and I might even mix it with some nettles. If there's any nettles coming up, they're just popping through the surface at the moment here in Lancashire. So yeah, just have a look at this. Look at this whole valley floor here is just carpeted in wild garlic. This is the ruins of Nuttall Hall, And so there's no industrial site underneath, it's just an old hall. And if you think a whole town like Ramsbottom gets its name from this, and you know, for the next few months there is going to be a profusion, and what I will do is just make loads and loads of wild garlic, and I'm going to freeze it in little bags, and I can take that out of the freezer all through the year. When this season has gone right through into winter, take it out of the freezer, defrost it, put it in a jar with a little bit of olive oil and have that gorgeous taste of spring, that fantastic antiviral action right through the year. So I wanted to thank you for just joining me for Cerridwen's Swinraig. And you know, this is where the Swinraig is at the moment, in the woods, picking up the new shoots and just enjoying taking those first breaths of the rising energy of spring. Blessed be.
Hi, everybody. I'm just going to spotlight myself for you all to see me, and I'm going to tell you a little story. So we have talked a lot about the Suinuraig, and for most of you, you probably don't quite know who she is. The Suinuraig is one of our aspects of Cerridwen. It is actually the main aspect. She's the healer. She's the one that would be, I've got these really interesting lights in my glasses. She's the person that would be out and about, like Edwina just now, and create these amazing medicines, potions, lotions, tinctures, teas, incenses, salves, whatever the tribe needed, she was there. Poultices, very important. Nowadays, we hardly ever use them, and they were so important. So what I'd like to tell you is a story about that might be a little bit interesting for you if you are a Bridie fan, because we are going to talk about how the Bridie Cross actually came into being. So please settle down, take a nice deep breath in, relax, and we make a start. The Cauldron Born. One day, as Briege was in the forest collecting healing herbs for her potions and salves with which they healed all that came to her in their pain and suffering, she saw a woman sitting on the trunk of a fallen tree. The woman was mature, but with features so classically beautiful that even in age she would be stunning. Her dark wavy hair was streaked with a little white, but it looked like those strands were sparkling in the fire of the sunlight, filtering through the green canopy of the mighty trees in the forest. Briege approached, bowed, and greeted the stranger politely. "Blessings on you, lady. Be welcome here in the forest of my father. I hope you enjoy all it has to offer. My name is Briege. I am a healer, here today to pick fresh herbs for my remedies." The lady rose and bowed in return. A smile appeared on her face. "Thank you so much for your lovely welcome, Lady Briege. I hope my presence here has not disrupted your toil. My name is Morwenna. I come from the great mountains in the land of the Cymry. I have travelled far to gain knowledge of the healing herbs that grow in other lands, and in turn be allowed to offer some of my knowledge in exchange. Please sit with me so I may offer you some refreshment in return for the pleasure of my time in your forest, and for your kindness to me." Briege sat on the tree trunk next to Morwenna, who offered her a drink in a small horn. It was fermented and smelled strongly of herbs, some of which she recognized when she tried it. The liquid was cool and refreshing, sweet yet tangy, an intriguing mix which seemed to sweep through her body right to her toes, made her body tingle and warming all her insides. It tasted wonderful. She had never had its like. She wondered if Morwenna would be prepared to share the secret of its making with her. Most herb healers, she knew, were quite secretive and protective of their recipes, because they often had been handed down in their family for generations, from mouth to ear, never written down anywhere. Then Morwenna shared a sweet cake with her, flavored with mint and sweetened with honey. Briege nearly moaned out loud from the pleasure of the taste, but caught herself just in time. Her mother had taught her better manners than that. The two women spoke of this and that, shared stories of family, country, and travels. After a while, Briege had to ask, "Please, Lady Morwenna, don't think me impertinent, but you mentioned that you were prepared to share your knowledge. I am intrigued by the drink you gave me. It was wonderful. It has refreshed me immediately and immensely, and I'm feeling very strong, although I toiled since dawn already, picking these herbs. I'd be happy to share my knowledge with you, but first let me tell you a cautionary tale from my land as a warning about being careful with our gifts of healing. A long time ago, a mortal woman, who was also a very gifted wise woman, a witch, wanted to help her son, who had been blessed with a beautiful, kind soul, but cursed with an unrelenting ugliness. His sister was as bright and beautiful as he was dark and ugly. They were twins, but in looks they were like night and day. The boy, whose nickname was Abakthi, was loved by many because of his goodness, but no one could stand to be in his presence for long or look at his face. So frightening was it. It was just too much to bear. Despite being a master of the knightly and courtly arts, his mother knew he would never have the chance to be truly respected as he deserved. People would rather avoid him. His father, a powerful man, was often from home, and Morvran, for that was the boy's real name, blamed himself for his long absences. He felt that it was his face that drove his father to stay away. In despair over her son's heartbreak, though he tried to hide it from her, his mother decided to brew a potion to give him ultimate knowledge, ultimate understanding, which would bring the people to him for his wisdom, regardless of his looks. She resolved to brew the very essence of the Awan, divine inspiration itself. She petitioned the mighty druids, our priest caste, in Dinas Avaron, high in the mountains, for the recipe. These men were called the Ferisht. All the wisdom of the plants, the stars, and the very earth is theirs. It was a true testament of Cerridwen's standing as a witch that these men even let her into their fortress, never mind giving her access to their sacred texts and recipes. She must have been truly powerful and worthy. For a year and a day did she and two others, the old blind man Morda and the young boy Gwion, toil over the cauldron that held the brew, this mighty spell, so well intended and yet so wrong. It may be called fate's intervention that on the night that the brew was finally finished, it was Gwion, not Morvran, who ingested the 3 drops of Awen, needed to gain ultimate knowledge and wisdom, even though perhaps by accident. But that was done, and it was done. The rest of the brew turned to poison, the cauldron burst with an almighty crack, and the potion ran into the river, and much of the land was destroyed, and the animals grazing on it perished. The damage done was so great that when word about this terrible disaster reached the Druids, they were devastated. They decided that the sharing of their knowledge of herbcraft was dangerous, especially in the hands of the village women. So it was made unlawful to pass this knowledge on, forbidden by threat of severe punishment. If people got sick, the residing ovate would be called, and the power of healing fell into the hands of only the men and the women of the Druid caste. Of course, they only meant to protect, but their long years of training meant that there were never enough ovates around in the time of need. The distances they needed to travel often meant that they got to the patient too late to be of help. Women died in childbirth, children died of fevers, the stock perished, the people suffered. Slowly, in some of the villages, women began to practice the herb crafts again. More women came to be taught by these wise women, always aware that if caught, they would be punished. Nothing was written down, for if found, the books would be taken away and disaster would befall the whole family. Then the clever women, ever resourceful, found a way to help pass the teachings on more easily. At this point, Morwenna held up a plaited piece of work. Briege had watched her work on it whilst listening to her rather sad story. She had admired the deft fingers, so quick it was almost mesmerizing, magical. Now she looked closer at the heap of plants lying in front of Morwenna's feet. She recognized stacks of mugwort, valerian, nettle, sage, wormwood, thyme amongst them. She peered closely now at the form of the plaited piece in Morwenna's hands. It formed an equal-armed cross, but the middle was intricately woven into a special pattern. Let me show you how we teach our daughters, Morwenna said. She took 9 stalks of herbs. I shall show you a remedy we use to bring down fever after childbirth. She halved the stalks and started to plait them together. Of mugwort she had 2 stalks, the other ingredients 1 stalk each. Quickly the cross began to form. You see, we hang these above the hearth in our houses. The men believe they are decorations to make the house smell pleasant, to protect against evil spirits. Let them believe that, if it gives them peace. We women know better. She smiled at Briege, a conspiratory smile shared by women in the know. Briege was fascinated. All afternoon, Morwenna showed her one cure after the other. Often there were similarities with Briege's own recipes, but much was learned, all in form of these crosses Morwenna produced. In the end, the light faded in the forest. Darkness threatened, and they had to stop. Come with me to my father's house. Stay a while. Take your rest. I really want to learn more from you, Briege begged Morwenna. I am most grateful, Lady Briege, and would accept this offer gladly. Such honor you show me, but I can only stay under one condition. Morwenna paused, then continued urgently. These, she pointed at the crosses, must stay our secret. Briege sighed deeply. I would share them with our healers, with your permission. These are too useful to keep to myself. By all means, Morwenna answered, but you must promise never to mention my name in connection with them. People from your country visit our land often. I am well known as my father is a very famous druid there, advisor and personal physician to our king. I am using his knowledge that I pass on in these recipes. I just don't believe that they should not be shared. Call them by your name, Briege's crosses. At first Briege demurred, surely taking credit for another's teaching was wrong. Morwenna insisted. It honors you, lady, that you think thus, but I am on my Ovate journey. I worked long and hard to get where I am now. If it was discovered that it was me who passed on the secret healing recipes of the clan of the Ferricht, I would lose everything, my position, my family, my very life perhaps. If there was any other way to do that, I would, I swear. But there is so much need in the world. I can't risk being discovered and being prevented from doing this. The women I teach pass on the knowledge to their daughters, even their daughters' daughters. They are my family, my friends. They are the cauldron born. You would put them all in mortal danger. In the end, Briege understood, and she agreed that for a greater good, it would be best to stay silent on the origin of this medicine. One day maybe the cauldron-born women would once again be free to heal and nurture, but until then, breached crosses it was. So now you know that these bridged crosses that people have everywhere in the world are actually healing tools, and I hope that you enjoyed this story. Please join us onwards on the journey through our dark moon ritual. Blessed be.
Thank you. We thank you for this sharing, for this amazing story. And now let's go on with Cerridwen's prayer. Cerridwen, awaken your dark, bright spirit in me. Lady, open and expand my inner vision of unknown. Lady, be in my breath. Be in my words and in every action I take in service to you today. Lady, fill my heart with your love. Lady, heal my disease. Cerridwen, bless my cauldron of creativity, bless my fertility of mind and body and soul, and ground me in your love. Cerridwen, awaken your dark, bright spirit in me. Lady, open and expand my inner vision of unknown. Lady, be in my breath. Be in my words and in every action I take in service to you today. Lady, fill my heart with your love. Lady, heal my disease. Cerridwen, bless my cauldron of creativity. Bless my fertility of mind and body and soul, and ground me in your love. Cerridwen, awaken your dark, bright spirit in me. Lady, open and expand my inner vision of unknown. Lady, be in my breath. Be in my words and in every action I take in service to you today. Lady, fill my heart with your love. Lady, heal my disease. Cerridwen, bless my cauldron of creativity. Bless my fertility of mind and body and soul, and ground me in your love. So mote it be. Blessed be.
Blessed be.
As we've been in our sacred circle, I have the honors to keep our circle open. May the circle be open and never unbroken. May the love of Goddess go with us always. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. Blessed be.
And that concludes tonight's DMR. Thank you, everyone who attended, and thank you to all of the participants. Please feel free now to unmute yourselves and say goodbye or say hello to someone. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you for being here, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. That was
Thank
beautiful.
you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello.
Bye-bye.
Bye, lady.
Bye.
Bye. See
Bye
you
bye,
next time.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Lots of love.
Bye.
Thank you, Les.